Hey everybody, it's Herschel from High School Top 200 here. Just this video is a preview on this up and coming game that's on TV, the St. Paul's and Wesley. This is brought to you by Fine Line Barbers in Hamilton. Just got back from Fine Line Barbers just a minute ago, and had to get faded to get my fresh cut. I don't feel good without a fresh haircut, so I had to go down Fine Line Barbers. They've the deal is still there. If you go and sit down and say High School Top 200, you get a discount. They have new hours, so from Tuesday to Wednesday it's 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Thursday to Friday 11 to 8 p.m. and on Saturday it's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you get a lot more time in there, and you can go after your trainings or go after school, and they'll give you enough time to get your haircut and sit down, say High School Top 200, and then get your discount. Go to my man Vinny, he's the one that faded me up today. Feels nice, feels fresh, so get down there. My preview is this Wesley game against St. Paul's. Wesley's just fallen out of the top 25, and for reasons because Wesley's had sort of an up and down kind of start to the season. For example, they this last game they drew with St. Peter's School, who is a good school, and they do have some really good players, but they drew with St. Peter's. They got smashed by St. Paul's the first time. And their scores haven't been so convincing in sort of the overall scheme of things. And and I'm not trying to add to the tradition of what what Wesley is, but the first game against St. Paul's, they lost 39-10. They also drew with Dilworth in their first ranking game for the season. And I ranked them 15th at the beginning of the season, so that wasn't a very good score line for Wesley, because Dilworth hasn't actually turned out as good as I thought they would, even though it's in a hard competition. But Wesley really needs to step up. They have lost some big games, and they've drawn this last game, and so things like that are not convincing to me in terms of a ranking system and the top 25 as being a top 25 school. So I think this week they're going to have to really pick up, and the last score 39-10 against St. Paul's is going to be different. It's not going to be the same, it's going to be different. 100% it's going to be different. I don't think they're going to blow them out again. And this Chiefs region is kind of different, especially with St. Paul's, Wesley, and Tauranga. See, Wesley beat Tauranga in the beginning. St. Paul's went off and then beat Wesley, but then Tauranga beat St. Paul's, which was a real surprise. I'm not saying Tauranga's not good, but I'm just saying that was a surprise. I didn't think that would happen. And so, with those three teams sort of, beating each other in sort of that triangle kind of thing, it's kind of hard in terms of a ranking system. Where do you put those kind of wins and losses, and then how do I categorize them? So this week is going to be really important for one of these teams to say that we are better than the rest, or we just had a bad game. So Wesley, it's going to be we just had a bad game. St. Paul's is going to say we're up here and we're going to be, we're better than what we expect, what we expect them to be. So for St. Paul's, I am looking for St. Paul's. To me, is actually the bigger team. They've got a really big forward pack. George Dyer is having a massive season, and George Dyer, I wouldn't even be surprised if he actually gets a Barbarians call-up this year. He's a prop, plays tight head prop, but he's really mobile. He's really good with the ball, and he takes the line on, bends the line, breaks through the top half of his body, and then he looks for those passes. And he's really mobile and really fit as well. And the best thing about this front row for St. Paul's is that all three of them are going to be returning next year. That's George Dyer, Sam Cooper, and also Ashton Finau, who's also a hooker prop, who's also really good. And so those three next year in my mind and how I think of first 15 rugby, they're going to be one of the top, if not the top, but one of the top 5 front rowers returning next year. They have a lock, Sam Porritt, who's like 6'7" or 6'8", really skinny kind of guy, but you know, in the line dance he's dangerous. And Wesley don't really have that kind of height to battle that. They're going to have to rely on either distracting him, getting in his face, getting in front of him, beating him as he comes down with the ball, things like that. And so they're really going to have to work hard on that. I like... they have a new blindside in there, Romkey, at blindside, and he plays a blindside on open side. He's kind of small, but you know he's got that grunt and muscle. And Jackson Morgan at number 8 is going to have to back him up. Ferg at first 5 is really going to have to control this game and control the backs, because I feel if you give it to Tao Salval as well as Hunter Johnson, and then having Della coming up from fullback and joining into the line into the gaps, and just to throw off the Wesley line a bit in terms of defense, I think that they'll be able to break into some of those midfields and then turn the ball out to the wing, where you have Valence, who is a massive prospect for me, who's a year 11, so look out for Valence, who's come down from Tangaroa a couple of years back. Valence Crosby Te Whare, so have a look out for him. He's I think by the time he reaches year 13, he's probably going to be a centre second 5. For Wesley, I think with Wesley, and they're going to have to take the tough guy route. They're going to have to be really physical. They're going to have to be really physical and really aggressive, maybe even overly aggressive, where they sort of have to teeter with that line a bit, because St. Paul's is not a team that will back down. St. Paul's is not a team that is going to just give you easy stuff. So you're going to have to get them off balance some other way. I'm not saying to be dirty, I'm just saying to be overly aggressive, so that you can sort of push the line a bit to get St. Paul's to step back maybe just that little bit and get them to hesitate. The Twins are actually going to be a really big factor within this game. Fui and Sui are going to be have to be really aggressive and be the aggressors, to the point where they're going to have to try and get these St. Paul's guys to have a step back and think about their next move, kind of thing. Don't get them to react on sort of reaction or counter-reaction or ingenuity, like to get them to maybe pause a bit when it comes to moving up in the line on defense. So he's going to have to hit the ball up quite a lot this week, because he has a big body. They still have Zurel and Victor Beach as some other big props there. They're also going to have to rely on Brent Tucker and Louis and the locks to be able to get up into Sam Porritt's face. I think Brent, I think he's a bit taller, he's going to have to be the one that maybe has to mark up Sam one-on-one, and just to get in his face a little bit. Tupou, Va'ai is going to have to... I think he'll be at number 8. I think Fui will go back to number 6. And Tupou is going to have to be... he's going to have to take up a lot of ball as well. And then I think he has to play more like an open side when it comes to defense, and sort of be all over the field, rather than to drop back and take those extra balls off kickoffs and things like that. So there's going to have to be something... he's going to have to work something out, and even being as young as he is, he's going to have to take extra responsibility on himself, as well as Tane Denny as well is going to have to be really aggressive at open side too, if he's in there at open side. I'm not too sure what his situation is, but I feel like he'll be the one that actually steps up. They're going to have to maybe Prince Salmani and Tom Ale are going to be are most likely going to be in the midfield, and those two have to be aggressive. They have to be crash ball kind of guys, and they have to break the line, and they have to have an effect on how the game goes in terms of their running and how much defense they attract, because they're going to be the main offensive guys. And then Isi Falikano is going to have to be also a guy that has to demand the ball and demand that you pay attention to him and what he can do, because he's dangerous with the ball. He is dangerous. Another guy maybe to look out for is Malupo Maafi. Yeah, that's his name. Maafi. Like he's actually huge. He's a huge fellow, and I think, and he's another one of those guys that maybe has to grow up a little bit and take more responsibility on himself. He's just come up from under 15s with Tupou, and so like both of them are going to have to maybe take the step up and take the and become a little bit more involved with what happens in the game. This is going to be a close one. I still think that it's going to be really close, that it's going to come down to maybe the last 10-15 minutes, that they're going to have to make sure that they control the game, whoever's in the lead, because you could lose it right in that last 10 to 15 minutes, and it's going to come down to mental toughness and being able to outlast the other team. So we're going to see actually gets it done, and yeah, that's it's a hard one to pick. I think it's a hard one to pick, and it could go either way with either team. I will have my predictions as I do on Fridays, and so I have my prediction for this game. I'm kind of leaning towards St. Paul's, but I still don't know yet. I still think that there's some little margins of doubt there as well. So jump on my Snapchat, because that's where I do my predictions, or Snapchat on HS Top 200 on my Snapchat. Jump on my Twitter at HS Top 200. Also on my Instagram at the real HS Top 200, and subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, and share this with your friends and your family so that everyone knows, everyone's in the know. Also, get down to Fine Line Barbers if you're in Hamilton. Go to my mate Vinny. He's got new